What's going on, everybody? If you're a new viewer here, welcome to my channel. Shout out to you. Look in the description down below. There is a whole bunch of information that I'll go over in a second that'll give you more context as to what this ROM hack is and just to be able to understand everything a little bit better. And if you're a returning viewer, shout out to you. Welcome. Leave a comment down below if you're new or returning. Sub if you're new here as well. But with that being said, read the description, okay? There's a lot of important information in there. The Google Sheet that you're looking at right now is linked down below. Everything in the hack is laid out in great detail as of this point in development. Lots of important stuff in text form as well. The move guide, super important. Give that a look. It's got all of the stuff organized very easily for you to digest. And then, videos or text form to explain stuff about the ROM hack, the balancing, the philosophies, the way it's intended to be played, all that stuff will give you a lot of much needed context to understand these changes. But with that being said, so first thing I want to address is the typing, because I just know there's going to be some people who either don't know what they're talking about or are misinformed or misguided, and they're going to be like, isn't normal, why would you give it the normal typing? It's a bad type. Well, it's 4 times weak to fighting, guys. I'm such a fucking asshole. I'm sorry. Look, I can't help but be a little bit condescending, because it's like, I don't know. It's just such an annoying debate. If you're the type of person who sees a normal typing added on to something and immediately goes, that's bad, like, I don't know. I feel like this ROM hack won't be for you, because I don't know if you'll be able to, like, I mean, look, let me explain it. So, for the half of you that immediately see this and go, oh yeah, that makes sense, it gives them the stab, mostly it's just for the stab. I mean, offensively it was reckless and stuff, but also logically, I mean, he's a dog. It's very basic. I'm totally fine with dual types. In fact, in this case specifically, it's because there are other pure dark types with Intimidate, and pure dark types with Fur Coat and a Lowland Persian, and then dark normal types with Intimidate and Mardiana, so it's kind of just like an awkward situation. However, I ended up really liking Fur Coat a lot more than Intimidate anyways. It makes him so much bulkier, and he can't be crit through the drops from Intimidate. But yeah, normal typing is great also because even though you resist Ghost, there is a very cheesy boss fight in Rhyme who will be a double battle, which is inherently difficult regardless of how much you prep, because number one, she's going to have very cheesy sets, and then number two, it's a double battle, so the AI is much less predictable and easy to exploit. So yeah, that'll be a really tough fight. So having that immunity, even though you normally resist it, I mean, 200 base power last specs, how much is that doing to fucking dark type Mabosstiff, I mean, you'll take it with Fur Coat, obviously, but just being immune is much, much more useful. And then that 4 times weakness to fighting, I swear to God, so many people are like competitively brained, I think, and so they just don't get that in-game, when you're playing a Nuzlocke versus AI, where the moves are predictable, having weaknesses is like not a bad thing. It's actually good in a lot of cases because it can let you bait moves more reliably to be able to switch around more reliably. So yeah, normal typing fits totally logically. I mean, there's tons of normal types that are thrown onto like basic mammalian Pokemon, and it makes them more unique from the other pure dark types. And it also allows him to have abilities that he wouldn't otherwise have because of my rules with overlap and stuff. For example, Persian having Fur Coat and this guy having Fur Coat, or Mighty having Intimidate, or Umbreon having Intimidate, all this other stuff with pure dark types and dark normal types is fixed now that he's dark normal. So yeah, Fur Coat, great ability. I mean, dude, I cannot understate how bulky 85, 90, 90 is with Fur Coat. Like, he is tanking hits for days. Very, very bulky. And again, that 4 times weakness doesn't fucking matter, man. It doesn't matter. With Fur Coat, I guess, in theory, they could take some fighting moves they wouldn't be able to take now that they're dark normal, but like, that's not... It's so much more worth it to have that dual stab, to have that immunity for Rhyme. It's the benefits, like the pros and cons. The pros vastly outweigh the cons, and then logically, again, it does make sense and it lets me differentiate them. So that's that out of the way. Again, Fur Coat, great, very fitting ability. They don't have Intimidate, like I said, because of Mariana having Intimidate as one of their 3 abilities. I chose to give them, so again, in this hack, because you have 3 abilities that you can switch between at any point in the game, I choose to give them abilities that actually make sense to be chosen over one another, meaning you can switch, I'm going to run Sand Rush for this boss because I actually need the speed, or I'm using my Choice Scarf on somebody else and I need to outspeed this Pokemon, so let me run Sand Rush, get the sand up, whatever. You can also do, like, try to get some sweeping stuff with, like, Sand Rush plus Howl giving you +2 attack, so you could try stuff like that too. But the main thing is just being able to outspeed things you wouldn't normally be able to outspeed. And then Reckless fits very well too. It was either between Reckless or Moxie, and I much prefer Reckless on a Pokemon like this. Moxie's not bad or anything, I prefer the immediate damage boost, and then being able to switch out, especially when stuff that comes in is based on your typing and stuff. Not that Moxie's bad. I don't know. I also am just not a big fan of sweeping in the first place. And so I don't love abilities that encourage it. Although of course Pokemon still have abilities like Moxie and other boosting sweeping abilities. But I don't know. I just preferred Reckless. It also fits them pretty damn well, just based on their decks and just like the type of Pokemon they are. You know, releases its energy all at once to blow away enemies. Blah blah blah. It fits fine. I mean, is it like the most fitting ability of all time? No, but it does fit just fine. Obviously, Mabosstiff fits Wimp Out perfectly fine. He has Runaway normally in Vanilla, and a lot of Runaway Pokemon now get Wimp Out because it's a very good pivot ability in a ROM hack where you're meant to be prepping and planning, you know, every turn of the boss fight with your 6 Pokemon. So being able to switch, obviously, like you might be thinking, why would I ever want to Wimp Out? You know, you have Fur Coat. Like, what the fuck is the point? You know, getting that free pivot without having to take up a turn using Parting Shot or, you know, minus priority Baton Pass is definitely very, very good. Like extremely good in an in-game context where you can exactly time the switch to get the Wimp Out trigger. But yeah, Reckless, it boosts his very powerful dual stabs late game. Double Edge becomes 150 base power with Reckless, and Brutal Swing is 144 base power with Reckless. And then earlier in the game, so obviously 55 it's actually not that late at all. There's still about, I believe it's what, 15? Hold on, 55, 57, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, like 15 boss fights. You'll have Brutal Swing for legal at level 55, so that's plenty of boss fights, but Health Rust is your alternative for earlier in the game, being being roughly in the mid 40s. You unlock it depending on the path you're taking with 5 badges. So that's a 100 base power recoil move alongside Takedown, Play Rough, and Wild Charge, which are all 100 base power, 20% recoil. Meanwhile, Double Edge and Brutal Swing and Strength, which is now Rock type Double Edge, are all 33, 1/3 recoil. So definitely pretty good. Not to mention it. Items like Shell Bell are buffed to heal you by 20%, so you could use those versus like slower Pokemon if you don't want to take recoil with Double Edge or Brutal Swing. Although most of the time I feel like if you're running Reckless, you'll be using some type of, I mean, with item clauses, anything like your item choices are going to be much more diverse than they normally would be. But yeah, yeah, you've got your powerful dual stabs, you've got coverage moves, again, fighting, fairy, electric, and rock recoil moves as well for coverage with Reckless. Normal stab is also great because of Giga Impact at 7 badges, which is roughly in the mid 50s, depending on the path, of course. I believe it could be as early as what? Yeah, it could be as early as 53, as late as 58. So 53 to 58 is when you'll unlock Giga Impact, which is now a 150. It's now a normal physical Draco Meteor. Very, very, very powerful. 150 base power. Even stronger. Actually, not the same power as Reckless Double Edge, and you can use it with Fur Coat, you can use it with Sand Rush, whatever. So that's very fun as well. Obviously, you've got your reliable stab, like Body Slam, Retaliate. Those are like drawbackless, just good stab moves. Priority in the form of Quick Attack, also Befuddle for coverage priority. Fits their personality as Mabosstiff pretty well. You know, dog, Pokemon, whatnot. Yeah, I mean, this guy is great. Like, you can switch him to be a, you know, tanky, I mean, a very tanky. I really can't overestimate, like, how understate? Yeah, I really can't understate how bulky Fur Coat 8590 is. It's very, very, very tanky. It also makes up for his lack of resistances as a dark normal. Dark types only have 2 resists, and one of them is turned into an immunity with the dark normal, so you literally only resist dark. 2 immunities is great, though, in Psychic and Ghost, and then of course, your weaknesses are your weaknesses, but it's not really a big deal. But the point is, you can tank like neutral, strong stab hits easily with Fur Coat. Very, very versatile Pokemon, as all Pokemon are in this hack for the most part. Again, being able to fulfill multiple roles depending on the point, like depending on your other teammates and the boss fight that you're fighting. You know, for one fight, you'll need your pathing will have him required to run Fur Coat. Next one, you'll run a Scarf Reckless set. The next one, Sand Rush. Next one, you run Fur Coat again. Whatever it is. Fur Coat also works great with utility moves like Charm and Dismal Cry and Disarming Voice. Dismal Cry and Disarming Voice drop attacking stats by -1 each. And again, keep in mind you can't crit through Fur Coat, so that 2 times defense is always there. You can't get crit through it, unlike Intimidate. Fur Coat is definitely overall much better than Intimidate in most contexts, especially on a Pokemon like this with this type of stat distribution and stuff. In an in-game context especially. Obviously if it's like doubles or some shit, it's a different story, but because then you provide like more team support. But Intimidate always comes with that crit risk, so yeah. I don't know. I mean, Payback, that's very, very good on Fur Coat because it's negative priority now. 60 base power, so it becomes 120. and you're very tanky, so you can take the hit and then kill them. You've got Slack Off for reliable recovery, which most, if not all, Pokemon get access to some type of reliable recovery and some type of pivot move in this hack. Not always, it's not always going to make sense, but there are 6 pivot moves, so most Pokemon fit one of the 6 via TM. In this case, Parting Shot fits totally fine, Dark type and whatnot, and then Baton Pass is a nice little negative priority option because they are relatively quick, even naturally with no investment. They'll still outspeed things you might not want to outspeed if you want the slow pivot, so Baton Pass is there for the slow pivot in exchange for, not dropping attack and special attack when you switch. So that's really good. You've got other coverage. Headlong Rush and Temper Flare are both 120. Well, Temper Flare is a Wicked Blow type of variant. Can't be used twice in a row, while Headlong Rush is like, close combat. You've got Rock Slide, Strength. Even early on in the game, you have all the Fangs, which are now 75 base power, except for Psychic Rings and Crunch, which are 85. Jaw Lock is 85 rock type, and it also traps the opponent and deals chip damage, so that's pretty cool with like Fur Coat, bulkier sets with Slack Off and shit. You could totally get something going with that. Overall, been pretty simple. Also, I didn't say this earlier in the video, but obviously Sand Rush, I hope it's obvious. It's because stuff like Stoutland gets it normally in vanilla, although you guys, if you watch the Sweltering Sun video on Stoutland, my take is that Slush Rush fits Stoutland 20 million times better than Sand Rush ever would fit it, and the only reason it doesn't have freaking Slush Rush is because the ability is a Gen 7 ability, and he's a Gen 5 Pokemon, and he got Sand Rush in Gen 5, so maybe Gen 6 it was released, I don't know exactly, but point is, he has Sand Rush because, dogs like to play in the sand or whatever. It's relatively loose, fitting, but it fits well enough given that there's a real Pokemon that has that ability for the same reasons. Otherwise, I don't know, he's pretty simple, straightforward. He's very, very tanky. Even on a special side, 85-90 is nothing to laugh at, especially when you can, run max HP Spit F EVs when you need it. He's got some great debuffing moves on top of all the ones I listed earlier. He's also got Scary Face and other good stuff, which is now changed to drop both defensive stats by 1 and speed by 2 with Scary Face, so that's pretty nice. On like bulkier Fur Coat sets, you can go like Scary Face into like kill them afterwards and use your bulk to like take the hit and stuff. Again, good amount of coverage. It's got really everything you could want within reason, of course. Thank you for listening. Let me know down below what you thought. If you made it this far in the video, comment, I made it this far into the video. I appreciate you very much if you did.